Okay, welcomes ladies and gentlemen, both in person and online. Welcome to my workshop. This is Dr. Chris Kwan. I just graduated from Hong Kong last year, from my doctoral degree. I did my doctoral thesis in applied linguistics, or more specifically, second language writing. So I'm more interested in English language learning at the tertiary level. This semester, I will be hosting a number of workshops on IELTS. Um, sorry, on the IELTS exam. As you can see from this table and from the poster, um, issued by the language center, posted by on the language center's Instagram. I'll be hosting a number of workshops. So if you're interested in enhancing any of the skill areas, you're welcome to apply for all or any of these workshops to see how you can improve your IELTS skills. But today's workshop will focus mainly on listening. This workshop has two intended learning outcomes. Number one, by the end of this workshop, you should be able to identify four key skills that you will need for the listening paper. And then number two, I hope by the end of this workshop, you will also be able to apply the key listening skills in your IELTS tests so that you can tackle different question types successfully.
我靠，这真的很好吃。
Yes. Okay, so the workshop has two intended learning outcomes. I plan to have 5 parts for this workshop. I will begin by giving you some sort of background information about the IELTS listening paper. And then I will outline the four key listening skills that you will need to have in order to tackle IELTS. And then the third part will be the main part of this workshop. That would be the illustration of the 9 question types that you will see in the IELTS paper. And then, if we have time, the fourth part of this workshop will cover 2 mock tests that are taken from official IELTS materials. And finally, I will draw a conclusion to this workshop by giving you some personal tips on handling IELTS listening. So let me begin by giving you some quick ideas on how IELTS listening will take place. Okay, before I go further, I would like to do a warm-up activity with you. You should have received a handout, right? On the first page of your handout, um, there there are some notes that you will need to fill in. Okay, what I'm going to do is to show you a video clip. The video clip will introduce us the IELTS listening test. It is prepared by the British Council, not made by me. Okay. Um, when you're watching the clip prepared by the British Council, I would like you to fill in the notes, fill in the gaps on the first page of your handout. There is a rule. For each answer, do not write more than 3 words and or a number. Okay. Could you please give me a few seconds so that I can play the audio clip with you? Oh, this one. Okay. Thank you. For the Zoomers, actually, I'm now going to show you the video clip. If you can't hear any voice, please let me know. Okay, so are you guys ready? Both the in-person and the Zoomers. If yes, I will play the audio clip now. Actually, sorry, the video clip now.
Exam. Great choice. It's the test that's tried and trusted throughout the world. The IELTS listening test is designed to assess your ability to understand spoken English. The listening test is the same regardless of whether you're taking the IELTS academic or general training module. These are key details of the IELTS listening test. The paper includes 40 questions spread over 4 sections in 30 minutes. The sections get more difficult as you progress through the test. You will only hear each passage once. It's vital you follow the instructions. For instance, if the question says, "Write no more than 3 words," any answer with 4 words or more is automatically marked wrong. At the end of the listening, you have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Write your answers carefully. Spelling is important. Capitalization, however, is not. There are no penalties for wrong answers, so attempt all the questions even if you're not sure of the answer. Here are some tips to help you prepare for the test. You are given time to read the questions ahead of the listening. It's vital you analyze the questions here. Look for key words in the question, usually the nouns or verbs. Underline or circle them. Make sure you know the type of answers needed. For instance, is it a name, a telephone number, an adjective? Try to predict as much as you can before you listen. Ask yourself, what is the situation? What is the topic? Who might be speaking? What might be the answers? Synonyms are important. There is often a word in a question and a different word with a similar meaning in the listening. Expect tricks. The speaker may try to confuse you. For example, they may give an answer and then change their decision. Also, be wary of negatives. Speakers might sometimes slip the word not into a sentence. Don't choose an answer just because you hear specific words. Consider the overall meaning carefully. Changes in the tone of voice can indicate this. For example, excitement or disappointment. Always have the next question in mind. It's easy to miss several answers if all of your focus is on one question. It's important to practice listening to a range of resources that might include television, films, radio, lectures, or online videos. Aim for a variety of sources of spoken English, particularly different accents. There is no substitute for practice. For more information on IELTS, please see our other videos on speaking, writing, and reading.
Okay. Okay, so that's the end of the video that I would like to show you. Let me share my PowerPoint screen, PowerPoint slide first. Uh, no, share screen. Yes. The reason why I have shown you the video is that it actually highlights some key skills that I would like to introduce to you during this workshop. Do you find the video too fast, or it's just at the appropriate pace? But don't worry. This is just a warm-up activity. So if you can't get the answers, sorry, if you can't get the answers, all the answers from the video, um, I'm going to show you my answers, and then give you some sort of background information about the IELTS test. So here are the answers to questions 1 to 6. So these are quite simple. Even though you have well, you don't really have to listen to the listen to the recording in order to answer these questions. So 40 questions in the IELTS listening test divided into 4 sections. So altogether, you will have 40 minutes for the test, 30 minutes listening, and 10 minutes for transferring answers. It's important that you follow the instructions. Some instructions are quite specific to the IELTS test. For example, um, you don't have to write a lot in the IELTS test because each answer will be at most 3 words. So at the beginning of this activity, I told you not to write more than 3 words for your answer, for each of your answers, right? But sometimes IELTS can be tricky in the sense that uh, the 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 word requirement will change. Sometimes you can't write more than 1 word. Sometimes you can't write more than 2 words. So that's what I mean by following the instructions more closely. Because if you don't follow instructions, you lose marks, even though your answers can be factually correct. In the IELTS exam, remember to check the spelling of your words. Say, for example, whether you can spell the word ambulance correctly. If you can't, if you can, even though you can hear the answer ambulance in the recording, if you can't spell it correctly, you can't get the mark. So, answers to questions 7 to 14. Perhaps these will be more important for you all. Um, I will go through I will go through some of these skills in today's workshop. You need to identify keywords in the questions and try to guess the type of answers needed during the preparation time. And there are some things that you need to pay attention to during the listening test, like paying attention to the use of synonyms in the recording. I'll explain more about this point later, what I mean by the use of synonyms. And the second point is very, very, very important. Be careful with tricks. Tricks are messages, words, or messages that will distract your attention, so that so that you can while you think A may be the correct answer, but in fact it is not. B should be the correct answer. I will show you how IELTS listening contains a lot of tricks in the activities later on. And then be careful with negatives. Negatives are words like I do not think not. I do not think blah blah blah. Okay. Number 12, consider the overall meaning carefully. Again, I will in one of the activities I will show you what I mean by considering the overall meaning. Sometimes you can hear something that seems to be the answer, but in fact the speaker may change his or her mind. So the answer should be another word. And then bear the next questions in mind. And this is important because you can't just focus on one question during the recording. You have to be familiar with you have to be familiarized with the questions. What are what the questions are in the test, so that you can do focused listening during the IELTS test. And finally, tips for practice. It would be good to learn to try to listen to a variety of spoken English with different accents. By different accents, actually, it means not just British English, but also American English or New Zealand English or Australian English. Say, for example, some speaker, well, we usually say Wednesday, right? But Singaporean speakers would tend to say Wednesday, right? Wednesday and Wednesday. Whether you can differentiate between schedule and schedule. This is what I mean by different accents. If you are familiar with speakers with different accents, that can help to improve your listening skills. Because in the IELTS listening, not just British not just British will produce the recording. The recording will also contain accents or speeches by different by speakers from different regions like America and Australia. So it would be good to as kind of a daily habit, it would be good to listen to different types of English spoken English from from speakers of different regions, so that you can once you get familiarized with different accents, you'll be able to follow the recording more closely during the IELTS test. So here's a bit more information about the recordings. So as I've said, there are sessions in the IELTS exam, and it covers both conversations or actually dialogue. Okay, dialogue, monologues, or a conversation up to 4 speakers. And I would say the IELTS paper is actually the easiest one among the 4 papers, because it actually covers some social conversations, especially in part 1 and part 3. Although, part 2 and part 3. Although there are some talks that are situated in the academic context. Okay, so the questions are in the same order as the information in the recording. So what I mean is you'll hear answers to question 1 first before the answer to question 2, and then answer to question 3, etc. So don't worry that you will have to jump from question 9 to from question 1 to question 9 and the question 2 again. No, the questions will be in the same order as the information in the recording. So you will be assured that you'll get the answers for question 1 first before moving on to question 2. And the recording will be played once only, and then each correct answer receives 1 mark. If you try to do a Google search, you can find some mark band conversion table like this. I'm not saying that this is correct. This must be accurate. I'm not saying that. But maybe it would be good to take it as a reference to see. Oh, if I'm targeting band 8 in IELTS listening, at least I need to get about 30 something answers, 30 like 35 marks, maybe around this range. So such a conversion table will show you, will give you some indications of how many marks you should be aiming for during the listening test. Okay, so perhaps I've talked too much about the IELTS listening, the design of the IELTS listening test. So what key skills, listening skills, will be tested in the IELTS listening paper? So there are, according to the official documents, there are 4, and also from my personal experience of taking IELTS, there are 4 types of listening skills to be tested in the IELTS listening. So if you turn your handout to page 2, at the top of page 2, you will see a box, right? I would like you to fill in the blanks as you listen. So the first key skill is to identify what this is perhaps the easiest skill tested in IELTS. That is the identification of specific information. You just need to be attentive, and when you are listening to the recording, because as some questions would test you whether you can get factual information from the recording, without having you thinking too much about the answer. Like, for example, what time would a particular event be, right? What so, or some factual information about time, place, or names, etc. You'll see some samples questions related to the identification of specific information later in the activity. Another skill is the identification of main ideas. This is slightly more difficult than the previous one, that is the identification of specific information, because the identification of main ideas will require you to listen to a few sentences. After listening to a few sentences, you make a judgment. You decide on the answer. And the third skill tested would be the identification of opinions, attitudes, and purposes. What it means is that the speaker may say something about may express his or her feelings about an event or some news or something, right? Whether you there will be some questions asking you whether the speaker is happy with something or not. And the last listening skill, or not really the last, the fourth listening skill will be your ability to follow the recording. This what I mean by this is that whether you can. Well, there are 10 questions in each session, right? If you want to get a good mark in the IELTS test, you have to show your ability to locate the answers to the 10 questions within a particular session. And to do this, you need some sort of signposting language. Don't worry, I will talk more about signposting language later, and I will show you some examples. Mind you that these four key listening skills are not mutually exclusive. They are usually tested together in IELTS listening. For example, when a speaker is saying something about whether he's happy with the course or whether he's happy with the lecturer, you often have to exercise your ability to identify the main idea, the key message of the speaker, and then um, from what the speaker said, you also need to identify whether um, identify the speaker's opinions, like whether he's happy with something or not. I will show you more about how these four skills are tested together in the activities later on. So bear in mind that we have four key listening skills to be tested in the IELTS exam. Now, perhaps the most important uh, or your main concern would be the question types or the types of questions items that you are going to see in the IELTS test. So let me show you the question types one by one. Altogether, you can see 9 question types, but these 5 can be combined into one type, that is gap filling. You are going to see some activities that will ask you to fill in some gaps in a flowchart, in a form, in a note, in a few sentences, or even in a summary. Apart from gap filling, you'll also label some maps or some plans of a building, and then you will also do some matching, or and there will also or there will be some multiple choice questions and even short answer questions. So by short answer questions, again you won't be told to write more than 3 words for each of your answer. So one reason why the IELTS listening test would be easier, well, in my opinion, would be easier than the other types of listening tests that you did in the past is that you don't have to write very, very long answers, as each answer will not be more than 3 words. But you do need to have the 4 key listening skills in order to help you excel in the listening test. So if you have taken a look at the handout, actually activities 1 to 9 are the illustration of these 9 question types one by one. So I don't think we'll have time to cover all these 9 question types in this workshop, but I will try to go through or the frequently occurring uh, question types with you during the workshop so that you can see how you can apply the 4 key listening skills in to different question types. Okay, so let me begin with the first question type. Um, look at your handout in activity 2. You are given a map, right? So again, I would like to show you an audio recording, and then you will try to do this labeling first. I would like you to label the plan as I've said in the instruction. Label the plan and then choose 5 answers from the box and write the correct letters A to I next to questions 11 to 15. I will go through some key skills after you have tried the recording, after you have tried this activity once. So give me a few seconds so that I can share the audio clip with you.
You'll hear the librarian of a new town library talking to a group of people who are visiting the library.
Okay, everyone. So, here we are at the entrance to the town library. My name is Anne, and I'm the chief librarian here, and you'll usually find me at the desk just by the main entrance here. So, I'd like to tell you a bit about the way the library is organised and what you'll find where. And you should all have a plan in front of you. Well, as you see, my desk is just on your right as you go in. And opposite this, the first room on your left has an excellent collection of reference books and is also a place where people can read or study peacefully. Just beyond the librarian's desk on the right is a room where we have up-to-date periodicals such as newspapers and magazines. And this room also has a photocopier, in case you want to copy any of the articles. If you carry straight on, you'll come into a large room, and this is the main library area. There is fiction in the shelves on the left, and non-fiction materials on your right, and on the shelves on the far wall, there is an excellent collection of books relating to local history. We're hoping to add a section on local tourist attractions too, later in the year. Through the far door in the library, just past the fiction shelves, is a seminar room, and that can be booked for meetings or talks. And next door to that is the children's library, which has a good collection of stories and picture books for the under 11s. Then there's a large room to the right of the library area. That's the multimedia collection, where you can borrow DVDs and so on. And we also have CD-ROMs you can borrow to use on your computer at home. It was originally the art collection, but that's been moved to another building. And that's about it. Oh, There's also the library office on the left of the librarian's desk. Okay. Now, does anyone have any questions? Yes, thank you, sir.
So that's why I said it would be good to be familiar with different types of accents, like a disc, right? Disc now, right? So but this is the fact, right? We all speak with an accent. Um, but anyway, it's good to listen to different types of spoken English so that well, the advantage of doing so is that you it would develop your ability to follow the listening in a more efficient manner because you're used to the speed of the SPED, the speed of the speaker, right? So let me show you the answers first. Okay, number 11 H, and then number 12 G, and then number 13 D, number 14 B, and number 15 F. Okay, instead of going through the questions one by one, I would like to ask if you would like me to explain any of these questions. No. So this map label is quite easy to you. Let me ask the in-person participants, have you got all the answers correct? Yes, you know you wow, so give yourself a big hand. Great. Okay, so what about the Zoomers? Have you got all the answers correct? Okay, but no response, but never mind. Okay, for the Zoomers, actually, if you have any questions, just feel free to. Okay, yes, I've got a positive response. Okay, thank you. One more. Okay, so for the Zoomers, if you have any questions, feel free to stop me and I can explain any parts to you. Maybe now I would like to highlight what you have to pay attention to during this. For this map labeling activity. But well, the first thing that I would like to draw your attention to would be the use of tricks. In the recording, there are two tricks. Tricks are, as I've explained, are some messages that will that are intended to mislead you. Okay, so that you can't get the correct answer in the listening test. So for question 13, there is a trick. You will hear a sentence. You actually heard a sentence about we are hoping to add a session on local tourist attractions too. So if you hear, this is the transcript or the tape script. I've used the green color to indicate where a trick is. So the trick here is to local tourist attractions. If you can't, if you didn't hear clearly in the recording, then you will immediately answer put I for question 13, tourist information, because you heard the word tourist attractions. But indeed, this is a trick, right? As the speaker said, later in the year, not now, right? So that's what I mean by one of the key listening skills, that is to understand the main idea of the message. Here, the speaker is referring to local history collection, and the librarian actually talks a lot uh, um about the library area. Uh, although she although she mentions local tourist attractions, actually that's a distractor. So that uh, well, this item is designed to test your ability to discriminate tricks from the recording. And then another trick will be here. Art collection. There is a choice A, art collection in the box. Okay. But if You if you have chosen art collection just because you heard the sentence it was originally the art collection, but that has been moved. It was originally the collection, then you will get the wrong answer. So what I mean is in the IELTS test, try to be careful with these types of tricks. The speakers won't be using a lot of difficult vocabulary to distract you, but they will give you some irrelevant information, irrelevant or sometimes wrong information in order to distract you, and then you will get a wrong answer for a certain item. Okay, um, there will be some tricks in the recording, but in order to do well in this type of map labeling, you will need to pay attention to words that describe directions. Uh, as you can see in the transcript here, I've used yellow to highlight some words. These are what we call prepositional phrases, like words like on your wall, on your left, opposite, or sometimes not just prepositional phrases, but also adverbs. Or words, general words like beyond, or something is on the right, on the left. So these are these prepositional phrases or adverbs can help you follow the map more closely. And these are also the signpost. These are also examples of signposting language that can help you follow the recording. If you have time, I can show you one more map reading map labeling activity in the mock test session. So, um, so any questions about this type of questions? No. Okay, then I will show you another question type. This time we look at matching. Okay, if you look at activity 2 of your handout. So I'm going to show you another audio clip. Okay, in the audio clip, actually two people, this time it's a dialogue. That means two people are talking to each other. This time this time a student is talking to his or her tutor about course selection. And you are given 5 courses. For example, media studies and women in power. And for each course, the speaker will actually indicate whether he will definitely do it or not. Again, I would like you to listen to the recording first, and then I will highlight some key skills that you need to pay attention to. Okay, again, bear with me a few seconds so that I can play the audio clip for you.
You will hear a communication studies student talking to his tutor about optional courses for the next semester.
Come in. Oh, hello, Jack. Have a seat. Right. You said you wanted to see me to talk about your options next semester?
That's right. We have to decide by the end of next week. Really, I'd like to do all 5 options, but we have to choose 2, don't we?
Yes, but the choice depends on your major to some extent. You're majoring in communication studies, aren't you?
That's right.
So, for example, the media studies option will cover quite a lot of the same area you did in the core module on mass communications this semester, the development of the media through the last 2 centuries in relation to political and social issues.
Well, that was interesting, but I've decided I'd rather do something completely new. There's a women's studies option, isn't there?
Yes, women and power. Again, it has a historical focus. It aims to contextualize women's studies by looking at the legal and social situation in the 19th and early 20th centuries.
So it would be useful if I intended to specialize in women's studies, but I'm not sure I do actually.
Well, it might still be useful to give you an idea of the issues involved. It's taught by Dr. Steed.
Oh, really? I'll sign up for that then. What about the option on culture and society?
That addresses the historical debate on the place of culture since the Industrial Revolution in Britain.
So, a historical focus again.
Do I get the message you're not so keen on history?
Well, it's just that we seem to have done quite a lot this semester. Anyway, I'll think about that one.
If you're interested in a course focusing on current issues, there's the option on identity and popular culture that approaches the subject through things like contemporary film, adverts, soap operas, and so on.
That sounds interesting. Can you tell me who runs it?
Well, it's normally Dr. Stevens, but he's on sabbatical next semester, so I'm not sure who will be running it. It should be decided by next week, though.
Right. Well, I might wait until then to decide. And the last option is Introduction to Cultural Theory, isn't it? I'm quite interested in that too. I was talking to one of the second year students, and she said it was really useful. It made a lot of things fall into place.
Yes, but in fact, in your major, you'll have covered a lot of that already in Communications 102, so that might be less useful than some of the others.
Oh, I'll forget about that one then.
Now, while you're here, we could also discuss how you're getting on with your core module assignment.
Okay, CABBC. Okay. Um, are there any items that you would like me to explain in depth? '23. Okay. 23 culture and his and society. Let's just look at 23. Okay, this is the original tape script, right? Jack was asking, what about the option on culture and his culture and society? So on the transcript, you can see a trick highlighted in green and the correct answer highlighted in red. Okay, and Jack said, so a historical focus again. So from the tone of voice, it seems that Jack doesn't like taking the course. But if you look at, if you listen if you listen further, okay, Dr. Ray was asking, do I get the message that you are not so keen on history? So that means Dr. Ray is asking Jack whether he doesn't like history or not. Jack actually says it's just that we have done quite a lot this semester. Anyway, I will think about that one. This is the key sentence that can help you determine what the answer is. Anyway, I will think about that one. Actually means he hasn't made a decision yet, right? He may do it or he may not do it. He may not do the course. It depends. He needs time for thinking. So this sentence will tell you the answer. Any other questions that you would like me to go? Yes. 22. Okay, this time it's about women and power, right? So again, from the tape script, you can see a trick and also the correct answer. The trick here is, you can see here, Jack says, I'm not sure I do actually. That means he is hesitating. But later, as you can see in the tape script, Jack changes his mind. Why? Dr. Ray said, "Oh, it will be taught by Dr. Steed, right? It will be taught by a lovely teacher." So, in the following line, Jack says, "I will sign up for that then." If you compare this sentence with the correct answer in question 23, actually this statement is more uh, positive. It's more positive. It gives you a more positive response by saying, I will sign up for that. That means I will go for that course. So are there any questions that you would like me to go further for the Zoomers? or if not, I will show you a table. Well, this time from the well, although there are only 5 questions in this matching exercise, well, for each question, there is a trick that will mislead you before you get the correct answer. So, uh, I've shown you for questions 22 and 23 that a trick comes before the correct answer. Um, so um, so that means in your listening test, if you come across such matching exercises, you will have to be careful with tricks or some misleading information. Usually, those tricks will come first before the speaker gives you the correct answer. Um, you can see on the right column of the table, there are some words underlined, like but for question 21, but I've decided I'd rather do blah, 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 but, oh, really? And question 22, oh, really? And then question 24, right, well, and then question 25, oh. These are what we call discourse marker or the technical term for these words are discourse markers, or if you can't remember this term, you just need to remember that there are some words that can tell you the tone of the speaker, tone, the tone of the speaker. From the tone of the speaker, you can identify what his attitude is towards a certain cause. Usually, for example, in question 21, Jack actually says something positive about the course. Well, that was interesting, right? Usually, what I can tell you is that usually if a speaker is trying to give you some negative feedback, he or she will use the word but. Oh, something is good, but blah 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 blah. Usually, the key message will be the words after the word but. But, blah, 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 blah. So as you can see here for question 21, but I've decided I would rather do something completely new. That's the key information. That's more important. So that's why Jack won't do the course. Okay, just to use this table to show you when you do matching exercises, you need to be careful with tricks. There are quite a lot of tricks throughout the recordings in the IELTS test. Uh, if you can differentiate tricks from relevant or correct information, then you'll be able to do well in the IELTS test. Of course, there are some words like the discourse markers or words like but, oh really, right, well, oh. These words will also help you to identify the correct message from the speaker. Okay, now let's just move on to the third question time, multiple choice. Okay, this time there are only 2 questions. Okay, just to illustrate what multiple choice questions will look like in the listening test. Maybe I will show you the audio clip first, and then I will highlight or explain some key skills that you need to apply to tackle this type of multiple choice questions. Okay, so if you're ready, I will play the clip now.
Okay, right. Now, obviously, insurance is an important thing to consider, and our companies are able to offer very good rates in a number of different all inclusive packages.
Sorry, could you explain a bit more?
Yes, sorry. There's really 3 rates according to quality of insurance cover. There's the highest comprehensive cover, which is premium rate, then there's standard rate, and then there's economy rate. That one will only cover the cost of the contents second hand.
Oh, I've been stung before with economy insurance, so I'll go for the highest.
And Can I just check? Would you want home delivery or to a local depot, or would you want to pick it up at the nearest port?
The port would be fine. I've got transport that end.
Fine. And will you be paying by credit card?
Can I pay by check?
Okay, this time the recording is quite short. But in the actual listening test, the recording will be much longer than this one because there are only 2 questions in this activity. Okay, let me show you the answers to the 2 questions very quickly. So here they are, C and A. Okay, because we have prepared some gifts for the students, I would like to ask the in-person participants whether any one of you would like to come out and explain the answers to your peers. If you can explain your answer, you will get a gift from Ash. So maybe, what's your name? It seems that you are quite confident. Would you like to come out and oh, don't be shy. Maybe one question will be fine, and then another peer, another classmate will talk about another question, just to give you more opportunity to speak. That's right. Okay. Can you come and use the mic to say that again? Yes. So that the Zoomers can hear what you. It's the transcript here.
For the question tense, I only hear the pause and I don't hear the home and this pause. So I choose the first one.
Okay, thank you, and get a gift from Ash. Actually, this is the tape script for the question 10. You will actually hear the speaker A saying home, the port. Ah, lovely. Home, the port, and port. One trick in the listening test is, for the multiple choice questions is that you'll be given 3 choices, A, B, and C. But then the speakers will probably cover all the choices A, B, and C in the recording in order to confuse you. Okay, an example would be this: the speaker A, speaker A actually mentions home, the depot, and port. But in the end, only one of them should be the answer, and the answer to question 10 will be the port. Actually, I would say the definite article the is actually a distractor. Distractor because sometimes THE can be pronounced as D, right? Uh, that would be quite similar to the pronunciation of DEPOT, depot, right? So let me tell you a secret. When I was doing this exercise, I was almost distracted by the definite article the, right? Uh, I I was actually wondering whether I should choose C instead of A, but in the end, I didn't change my choice. I chose A. I didn't change my choice, and luckily, the answer was A, port, right? So, anyone would like to talk about question 9? Yes. Yes, can you use the mic so that the Zoomer can hear what you are talking about? You can use the transcript to help you.
When I heard about this question, I found that the woman talk about the premium is the C is the highest, and standard is the middle, and economy is the lowest. So I draw an arrow. It's just like this. So yes, and highest. And then the man said he wanted the highest, so it's the C.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Get a gift from Ash. I think you have used a very good strategy. That is note taking, right? Um, yes. It's good to take notes about the three choices: economy, standard, and premium. Again, as I've said before, in multiple choice questions, the speakers will probably go through the three choices that you will see in the multiple choice question: a economy, standard, and premium. And if you check the transcript again, actually, speaker A does talk about premium, standard, and economy. And I think this is a very good strategy to use arrows or some other note taking or some other notes to help you follow the information given in the recording. So speaker A actually compares premium, standard, and economy, and then the most useful piece of information is that economy will be the highest comprehensive cover, and then why the why do I say this piece of information would be the most useful? Look at speaker B. Speaker B actually said he or she will go for the highest. You see the word highest is repeated twice. So what you need to do is to go back to the question and find out which one, economy, standard, or premium, is the highest. Again, there is a trick before you get the answer. Before you get the answer, as you can see in the green word here, uh, economy insurance. Actually, if you listen more carefully, you will be able to see. Actually, Speaker B is not happy with economy insurance, so the answer should be C. So let us come to short answer questions. If you look at activity 4, actually there are 3 questions asking you to give short answers. But as I've said before, you need to check the instruction. Write no more than 3 words and or a number for each answer, right? Um, would the questions be more difficult than the previous exercises? Just because you have to write a few more words, maybe you will know the answer after listening to the audio clip. Again, bear with me a few seconds so that I can play the clip for you. Okay, so if you're ready, I'm going to show you the audio clip now.
You will hear an extract from a talk given to a group who are going to stay in the UK.
Good evening and welcome to the British Council. My name is John Parker and I've been asked to talk to you briefly about certain aspects of life in the UK before you actually go there. So I'm going to talk first about the best ways of making social contacts there. Now, you might be wondering why it should be necessary. After all, we meet people all the time. But when you're living in a foreign country, it can be more difficult, not just because of the language, but because customs may be different. If you're going to work in the UK, you will probably be living in private accommodation, so it won't be quite so easy to meet people. But there are still things that you can do to help yourself. First of all, you can get involved in activities in your local community. Join a group of some kind. For example, you'll probably find that there are theatre groups who might be looking for actors, set designers, and so on. Or if you play an instrument, you could join music groups in your area. Or if you like the idea of finding out about local history, there'll be a group for that too. These are just examples. And the best place to get information about things like this are either the town hall or the public library. Libraries in the UK perform quite a broad range of functions nowadays. They're not just confined to lending books, although that's their main role, of course.
Actually, do you find the answers more straightforward than the previous exercises. This time there aren't so many tricks as you have seen in the transcripts. Uh, when I was preparing for this exercise, actually I listened to the clip and my feeling was that the answers are quite straightforward. Okay, maybe have a look at the answers first. Language and customs. This time, for map labeling, we can use words like prepositional phrases or adverbs to help us follow the recording. For this type of recording, we can the speaker is very kind and he or she uses words like not just because of blah blah blah, but because blah 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 to separate two answers. So you can get the answers quite easily, language and customs. And then yes, for questions 13 to 14, you can see in the transcript I've highlighted words like or blah 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 here, or blah blah blah, and or blah blah blah. I would say this is a common feature of spoken English. Sometimes in spoken English, people like to use or words like or and to change topics, to transition from one topic to another. So if you in the recording, if you hear words like or blah 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 or blah blah blah, as in this example, that means the speaker is trying to give you another answer or answers to another question. So here, two adjacent sentences are connected by or blah blah blah, or blah blah blah. And in each of these two sentences, the speaker is giving you one answer or one example of the community group. Okay, and then 15 and 16. Again, you can pay attention to conjunctions like either blah 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 or blah blah blah. This time in the transcript, actually the speaker uses this sentence pattern to connect two answers, two adjacent answers: town hall and public library. So in this type of expository text or listening input that aims to give you information about something or explain, or more specifically, to explain something to you, you can pay attention to words like not just because of blah blah blah, but also blah blah blah. Pay attention to signposts or conjunctions like and or either or can help you locate the answers in the recording easier. Okay, so any question about this? No. Maybe we can do one more. We can look at one more. Sorry, someone. Okay, someone is asking whether in questions 11 and 12, do we have to add s for each answer? What two factors? Customs. These are the standard answers. Actually, what I have given you here are the standard answers given by given in the IELTS official materials. But if you ask me, it would be good to stick to the recording. If that means you have to pay attention to what form of words the speaker uses. If the speaker doesn't use s, doesn't add s after the word language, then it would be the good idea not to add the letter s after language. So it would be good to stick to the recording. This is this student actually Henry actually raises a good question about the use of words in your answers. Try to oh, you're welcome. Try to since we yes I know in the yes in the DSE listening exam Yeah, depends on the context. Yes. Um, well, let me put it this way. It would be good to stick to the words used in the recording rather than using your own words or or else you will lose marks just because you can't your answer is factually wrong. Okay, so it'll be good to stick to the words used in the recording. I think we don't have time to cover this. I will skip flowchart completion. If you are interested in doing this activity, we can send you the audio clip and the transcript for you to work on your own later on. Okay. Form completion. Okay. Maybe let's just have a break after this activity, form completion. Here you are shown a form, and then there are some pieces of information missing, and then you have to fill in the information based on the recording. Let me show you the clip now. So bear with me for a few seconds.
Hi, Maria. What do you think of the assignment we were given today? It looks challenging, doesn't it?
Sorry, a wrong clip. So just bear with me for a few more seconds. Sorry, because I skipped activity 5. It should be activity 6. Yes.
You will
So this is the right one.
You will hear a telephone conversation between a customer and an agent at a company which ships large boxes overseas.
Good morning. Packham's shipping agents. Can I help you?
Oh, yes, I'm ringing to make inquiries about sending a large box, a container, back home to Kenya from the UK.
Yes, of course. Would you like me to try and find some quotations for you?
Yes, that'd be great. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I need a few details from you.
Fine.
Can I take your name?
It's Jacob Mkere.
Can you spell your surname, please?
Yes, it's Mkere.
Is that M for mother?
Yes,
Thank you. And you say that you will be sending the box to Kenya.
that's right.
And where would you like the box picked up from?
From college, if possible.
Yes, of course. I'll take down the address now.
It's Westall College.
Is that Westall?
Yes, college.
Westall College. And where's that?
It's Downlands Road in Bristol.
Oh, yes, I know it. And the postcode?
It's BS8 9PU.
Right. And I need to know the size.
Yes, I've measured it carefully and it's 1.5 meters long,
Right.
0.75 meters wide,
Okay.
and it's 0.5 meters high or deep.
Great. So I'll calculate the volume in a moment and get some quotes for that. But first, can you tell me, very generally, what will be in the box?
Yes, there's mostly clothes,
Okay.
and there's some books.
Okay, good. Anything else?
Yes, there's also some toys.
Okay, and what is the total value, do you think, of the contents?
Well, the main costs are the clothes and the books. They'll be about £1,500. But then the toys are about another 200. So I put down £1,700.
Okay. This type of form completion usually appears in section 1, and that is quite early in the listening test. So you can feel that the questions are are quite easy because they only concern to the identification of key information or factual information. from the recording. Anyway, let me show you the answers first. Oops. Yes. So this time, this because it appears in session one. I mean, the question appears in session one. The speaker actually spells the surname for you, Mkere, and then it's the M for mother. Yes. So you can see the questions are quite simple in the sense that it only tests your ability to find out specific information from the recording. So Westall College. And then this is this was pronounced quite slowly in the recording, BS89PU. And then I have one question for you. How did the speaker pronounce the word? Usually we say 0.775 beta or 0.5 beta. Or we can say O, but in the recording, the speaker actually uses another word. Do you know what it is? No? Not no? The answer is not no. There are 4 ways of pronouncing the word other than 0. You can say oh, 0, not. Actually, yeah, yes, it's the word not. That was used in the recording, not. And then one more, nil. Yes. So what does it mean? You have to you have to be prepared that there's more than one way of pronouncing this number other than the word 0, other than the pronunciation 0. Oh, 0, no, no. Yes, not and nil are very unusual in Hong Kong. I agree. Yes, but yes, it's just that in the recording, the speaker does say no. So maybe it would be good for us to be flexible about this. So just to alert you about this possibility. Yes. And then for items 6 and 7, some books and some toys. The quantifier sum is optional. And then finally, there is a trick. The speaker actually says 1,500 and then 200, but the correct answer should be the sum of these two. That is 1,700. Let me round up this activity. If you want to do, this activity is, this question type form completion is not really that difficult. But if you really want to do well in this part, it would be good to pay attention to headings, to the words given in the form. If you can familiarize yourself with the form, that can help you locate the relevant information from the recording easily. So maybe we can have a 5-minute break from now. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, because of the time limit, we'll probably do one more gap filling activity. Then we will do one mock test, and then I will close the session by drawing a summary. I will skip activity 7, note completion, because you have already done that in the warm-up activity. Okay, note completion. Okay, let's just look at sentence completion then. For sentence completion, actually you are given a few sentences here. And what you need to do is to listen to the recording and find the relevant information. Again, let me show you the clip first and you try it once. And then I will highlight the key skills that you need to apply. Bear with me for a few seconds so that I can share with you the audio clip. Okay, so if you're ready, I will play the recording now.
The other thing I wanted to ask you was, did you find it hard studying with the Open University?
You mean because you're studying on your own most of the time? Well, it took me a while to get used to it. I found I needed to maintain a high level of motivation because it's so different from school. There's no one saying, "Why haven't you written your assignment yet?" and that sort of thing.
Oh dear.
You'll learn it, Paul. Another thing was that I got very good at time management because I had to fit time for studying round a full-time job.
Well, I'm hoping to change to working part-time, so that'll help.
What makes it easier is that the degree is made up of modules, so you can take time off between them if you need to. It isn't like a traditional 3 or 4 year course where you've got to do the whole thing of it in one go.
Oh, that's good, because I'd like to spend 6 months traveling next year.
Huh, it's all right for some. Then, even though you're mostly studying at home, remember you've got tutors to help you, and from time to time there are summer schools. They usually last a week. They're great because you meet all the other people struggling with the same things as you.
Oh,
I've made some really good friends that way.
sounds good. So how do I apply?
So this time the answers are similar to the previous activity. Form completion. The answers are quite straightforward without uh pay attention to so many tricks, right? But it'll be good to well during your preparation time, it'll be good to look at the questions and identify and think about not really identify, but to think about the way that the speaker the way the speaker will use to present the information to you. What I mean is when you listen, this is the transcript, right? When you listen to the recording and when you hear the speakers, sorry, oh, it's Thomas. When you hear one of the speakers saying um, things like studying with the Open University, then you have to raise your ears. That means the answer to this question is coming, right? And in fact, after a few lines, the answer is the answer comes. The answer is motivation, right? But mind you, in the question, actually, well, if you look at the question, the words in the question would be a great deal of, right? A great deal of. In the recording, the speaker doesn't use a great deal of motivation, but look, a high level of motivation. That's what I mean by the use of synonyms, or what you have heard in the warm up clip about the use of synonyms by speakers. Um, and that's why in the preparation time, you may need to think about how the speaker or speakers will present the information to you. Sometimes the speaker may use the exact wording like studying with the Open University. That means it's the time you have to raise your ear and listen attentively for the answer. But sometimes the speaker will try to use synonyms or words with similar meanings to show you or tell you the answer. That is motivation. Because of the time limit, I will go through questions 28 to 30 quite quickly. Time management, 28, time management. It doesn't matter whether or not if you have a hyphen in between. And then 29 modules. And 30 summer schools. One tip for this type of question is that although you may have to write a few more words compared with multiple choices or map labeling, this type of question, sentence completion, can be easy in the sense that the information given to you will probably quite straightforward, without having you thinking too much about the underlying messages of the speakers. Okay, we don't have enough time to think about to think about how we can tackle summary completion. This is not quite common in the IELTS exam, although in the although the official channel does say that summary completion can be one of the question types. It's usually, well, I mean, summary completion is usually more common in reading than listening. So maybe because of the time limit, I will skip this one. If you're interested, I can send you the audio clip for you to listen to and work out the answers on your own. For the remaining time, I would like to work on one mock test with you. Okay, so let's just move on to part 4 of the workshop. And we don't have time to do 2 more tests. If you look at the handout again, I prepared 2 activities that that include 2 mock tests, but we don't have time to do both. So maybe I would do activity 11 with you. Okay, you are going to work on 10 questions. Actually, 10 questions from a recording. Actually, this part of the activity is taken from one official practice materials practice material prepared by the British Council, right? So it is kind of like an official kind of exercise, official kind of mock practices. But getting official IELTS materials can be quite expensive, right? So I have included a few. I intended to do two practice activities with you, but we don't have enough time, so we can only work on this. This is, as you can see, this is actually session 3. That means it's more difficult than sessions 1 and 2 in terms of the level of difficulty. Maybe we can, well, as in the previous activities, I will play the audio clip first, and then you try to work out the answers first, and then we can go through some of the tips and listening skills together. Okay, so if you're ready, can I play the audio clip now?
You will hear a discussion between a business student called Marco and his personal tutor about the courses that Marco should take. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 23 on page 5. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 23.
Hi, Marco. Come in.
Thanks. I've got a bit stuck trying to select courses for next semester. Could you help me, please?
Of course. Sit down. First of all, most people just go for the areas of business that they're interested in. But even if something doesn't look very stimulating, it's important that you can use it once you get a job. It's not much good choosing areas that aren't going to be helpful later on.
Right. I want to go into management, so I'll need to think about that. And should I start specialising in a particular area yet?
I don't think that's wise at this stage. It's better to aim for a wide variety of subjects, especially as management covers so many possibilities. You shouldn't be limiting your choices for later on.
Yes, I see.
You should also look at how the course is made up. Will you have regular seminars and tutorials, for example, as well as lectures?
Okay. Some of the lecturers are quite big names in their fields, aren't they? Should I aim to go to their courses?
Well, remember that the lecturers who aren't well known may still be very good teachers. I'd say we have a consistently high standard of teaching in this department, so you don't need to worry about it.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 24 to 30 on pages 5 and 6. Now listen and answer questions 24 to 30.
Good. Well, that's a great help.
Now, last time we met, you mentioned doing team management, didn't you?
That's right. I'm still quite keen on the idea.
The trouble is that because of changes in the content of various courses, team management overlaps with the Introduction to Management course you took in your first year. So what you learned from it would be too little for the amount of time you'd have to spend on it.
I'll drop that idea then. Have you had a chance to look at the outline I wrote for my finance dissertation? I left it in your pigeonhole last week.
Yes. Why exactly do you want to write a dissertation instead of taking the finance modules? It'll be pretty demanding.
Well, I'm quite prepared to do the extra work because I'm keen to investigate something in depth, instead of just skating across the surface. I realise that a broader knowledge base may be more useful to my career, but I'm really keen to do this.
Right. Well, I had a quick look through your outline, and the first thing that struck me was that you'll have to be careful how you set about it, as the way you've organised it seems unnecessarily complex. The data that you want to collect and analyse is potentially valuable, but you'll need to narrow down the subject matter to make the whole thing manageable.
Okay, I'll have another look at it. I was talking to Professor Briggs about it yesterday, and I got some more ideas then. For part of the dissertation, I was thinking of trying to persuade finance managers from 3 or 4 companies to let me ask them about their company finances. If not, I think I'll have to change to another topic.
Well, go ahead then. I could give you some names.
Thanks.
Now, let's talk about practicalities. Your dissertation must be finalised by the end of May, so you should aim to finish the first draft by the end of March. Is that feasible?
Yes, it shouldn't be a problem. I'll need to register for the dissertation, won't I? Is that with the registrar's department?
No, it's internal to this department, so you just need to let the secretary know. Do that as soon as you're sure you're going to write the dissertation.
Okay.
Then, to analyse your statistics, you're going to need some suitable software. If I were you, I'd drop into the computer office and ask them for a copy.
Right. So if I revise my
That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Yes, check your answers first. Compared with the previous activities, this time I can see some of you have hesitations or doubts about individual items. But but as I said before, in terms of difficulty, actually, this is at I would say at the moderate level of difficulty, moderate, right? Because there are honestly there are a number of tricks. And sometimes in the for the multiple choice questions, as I've said before, the speakers will probably go through the 3 choices you have seen in order to confuse you. But anyway, let me share my PowerPoint slides first.
Cost consideration and pricing strategies to fit your target customers. Please.
Not sure about what happened. What happened by the student? Okay. But first of all, before I show you the answers, are there any questions that you would like me to go through first? Or any problem areas that you would like me to discuss? No. Okay, maybe I'll show you the answers first. 21. Well, questions 21 to 23 requires you to choose 3 answers from the recording. As you can see, let me use question 21 as the example. There is a trick before you really hear the correct answer. The trick is most people just go for the areas of business that they are interested in. If you only hear about hear about this one, and if you really go for personal interest, then you will get an incorrect answer. Here, the use of the word "but" by the teacher will really help you identify what what piece of information would be relevant. Uh, the teacher is actually saying it's important that you can use it once you get the job. Here you have to be careful with the use of with this the speaker's use of synonyms. Actually, the speaker is not saying. Maybe just ignore it. Okay. Okay. Uh, Here the speaker is just saying uh it'll be important for you to use your knowledge after once you get a job, and the speaker doesn't use the word relevance or future career, right? So it requires you to match the right heading to the relevant information in the recording. But it shouldn't be too difficult for you, as long as you can as long as you can get the relevant you can should apply the ability to identify main idea. Again for 22, um um the right answer should be range of topics, right? The speaker says it's better to aim for a wide variety of subjects. Again, before the correct answer, there is a trick before. Okay, there is a trick before. So this question shows that you have to be careful with tricks in the recording. Okay, this time 23 is quite straightforward, but reputation of lecturer. The student did ask a question about whether he or she should choose a course just because of lecturer, and it requires. Well, I mean, the test question requires you to identify the main idea. That is no. Okay, 24A, and then 25B, 26C, 27A. 27 is quite tricky because you can see the speaker actually goes through three choices, but only one of them is correct. And the other two, well, the purpose of mentioning the other two choices is to confuse you so that you will get a wrong answer. Okay, 28 March, not May, right? March. Okay, 29 secretary. And then 30 computer office. Okay, because of the time limit, maybe let me just draw a summary of the workshop by giving you three of my personal tips. Number one, in the IELTS listening paper, it would be good to predict the type of answers needed. This is actually a piece of advice given in the warm-up video as well. What I mean is during the preparation time before you listen to the recording, it would be good to think about the type of answer. Say whether the answer requires you whether you're expecting um, an answer to be a number, a time, a place, etc. Right? Predict or guess the type of answers needed. My second piece of advice is to be careful with tricks. This is a key message that I have been emphasizing throughout the workshop. There are a lot of irrelevant information or some distractors or tricks that are going to mislead you. And my final piece of advice is to make good use of the signposts in the recording. What I mean, well, during the workshop, actually, I showed you some examples of signposting language, like prepositional phrases, adverbs, and also conjunctions. If you can make use of those signposts, that can help you follow the recording easily so that you can locate the answers in a more accurate manner. Okay, just to recap what we have learned in today's workshop, I hope by the end of this workshop, you have got some ideas of the key listening skills that you will need for the listening test. And through self-study, you will also strengthen your ability to apply such skills in different question types for the IELTS exam. Okay, just the final slide of this activity. If you turn over to the last 2 pages of your handout, actually I've compiled a list of useful websites. These websites are some listening activities that you can do, and I particularly recommend this one. This one's is prepared by PolyU colleagues, and you can see 2 mock tests and some extra practice activities. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time to cover all the question types or all the practice activities in this workshop, but I do hope that um, you'll find time during during the holiday to practice to go through some of the websites in order to practice your IELTS listening skills further. And just to let you know that I will be hosting another workshop. Next time it will be about reading. Meanwhile, I would like to wish you a happy Lunar New Year holiday. Okay, thank you.